Far from the center of the galaxy, on the quiet planet Varela, the sky turned black. It was supposed to be a normal day. Children played in the grass. Traders sold food in the markets. The twin suns were shining. Then the shadow came. No one saw ships. No one heard engines. The sky simply went dark. Black clouds moved in strange patterns. Electricity failed. Satellites went silent. And then, one by one, entire cities vanished. The people screamed. They didn't understand what was happening. The government of Varela sent out a desperate signal to the Galactic Alliance. This is Varela. We are under attack by unknown forces. Please send help. The message echoed across space, from one relay station to another. It reached the Council within hours. Galactic Council Chamber, capital planet Oryx. The Council gathered. Leaders from dozens of species sat in their tall silver chairs. Holograms of the attack played on the large screen. They watched the dark fog swallow buildings, people, and ships like they were dust. Chancellor Rielf, a tall insectoid being, clicked his mandibles. "This is the 5th planet this month," he said. "They come from nowhere," said another voice. "They don't speak, they don't stop." A third leader shook his head. "We cannot fight what we don't understand. We must protect our core systems." The vote was quick. The council decided not to help Varela. Varela, last government shelter. Underground, in the last safe place on the planet, Ambassador Kale Veron listened to the news. The council would not come. No help, no ships, nothing. The room fell silent. People wept. The shadows outside were getting closer. Kale looked at the sky on the screen. Only blackness. Then he did something strange. He opened a drawer. Inside was an old metal box. Dusty, worn, forgotten. He typed in a code. The box unlocked with a soft click. Inside was a device no one had seen for 100 years. Old tech, human tech. He placed it on the table and whispered, "Maybe, just maybe, they're still out there." The galaxy had forgotten humanity. A long time ago, humans were part of the Alliance. They were bold, smart, and full of ideas. They explored places others feared. But then, they vanished. Some said they were wiped out. Others said they hid away, angry at the council. No one knew the truth. Over time, the galaxy moved on. But Kale remembered. He was a young ambassador when he met humans. He remembered their passion, their strange weapons, and their promise. "If the galaxy ever turns dark again, we'll be watching." A message sent into the void Kale activated the human beacon. The device buzzed with old energy. He recorded a simple message. "This is Ambassador Kale Veron of Varela. My planet is falling. The council won't help us. If any humans still live, please, we need you." He sent it into deep space to the last known human sector, Sector Black 7, a place no ship dared to go. Most believed it was dead space. Kale didn't. He stood and looked at his people. "We may be alone," he said, "but we still have hope." Far away, unknown sector. In the darkness between stars, in the middle of dead space, a small object floated. It was a satellite. Old, forgotten. Until it blinked. Then it moved. Lights came on. It had a name, Observer Probe X9. Kel's message reached it. The probe paused. Then its systems activated fully. Its core glowed red. It sent a signal, one it had never used before. Threat confirmed. Contact established. Return signal initiated. Galactic Council. Days later, the council members received a strange alert. A new transmission had appeared in the galactic network. Simple, cold, from an unknown origin. To the Galactic Council. This is Observer Probe X9. Threat level. Extinction. Requesting return to Earth Command. fleet en route. The chamber fell into silence. Chancellor Reelf leaned forward. Earth Command. That can't be real. Another member whispered humans. But they're gone? A third voice said what everyone was thinking. What if they were never gone, just waiting? The message from Observer Probe X9 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Threat level: extinction. Requesting return to Earth Command. Fleet en route. For many, it was the first time they had heard the name Earth in centuries. The Galactic Council scrambled. Leaders argued in panic. Earth is a myth, some shouted. They're ghosts. They disappeared 200 years ago. No, said a quiet voice. Ambassador Veltra of the Karen species. Humans never disappear. They wait. Why did Earth go silent? 200 years ago, humans left the Alliance. They were tired of politics, of lies, of being used as soldiers. They said they needed time to grow, to prepare. And then one day, all human ships vanished. Their colonies went dark. Earth itself shut down all contact. The galaxy thought they were dead. Now, maybe they were just watching. Back on Varela, last moments, the black fog was swallowing the planet. Calveron sat inside the bunker. Families cried quietly. Soldiers stood by the doors, shaking. One boy asked, "Are the humans coming?" Kale didn't answer. Then, a soft ping came from the human device. Connection confirmed. Signal: Earth Command. Status: active. Kale stared at the words. They were coming. Unknown sector. Earth's hidden system. Behind a massive asteroid belt, protected by cloaking tech, floated something terrifying. Arc Station Theta, a city-sized command center once built by humans during the Galactic Cold War. It had been quiet for 200 years, sleeping. But now, alarms echoed through its steel halls. AI systems rebooted. Old officers, frozen in cryopods, opened their eyes. A voice spoke through the station. This is Earth Command. Observer Probe X9 has confirmed galactic threat. Activate Bastion Protocol. All fleets prepare to launch. Inside Earth Command, Commander Ray Maddox, the last living Supreme Commander of Earth, stepped onto the bridge. Her body was old, but her eyes were sharp. She read the report on the screen. Enemy classified as Shadow Force, unknown origin, capable of planetary deletion. Current target: Varela. She narrowed her eyes. Set course. Send one ship. Let them know we're coming. One ship appears. Above Varela, as the fog reached the government bunker, the sky flashed. For a second, everyone thought it was lightning. But then, a shape appeared. A ship, long black, glowing with blue lights. Its hull marked with ancient human symbols. On the side, one name was painted. Deliverance. Inside Deliverance, Captain Omo Solas stood on the bridge. "Sir," said his pilot, "we're above Varela. Shadow activity confirmed." Amil gave a cold nod. "Charge main cannons. Begin orbital fire." The ship's weapons glowed. In seconds, beams of pure energy rained down. The fog screamed. It retreated, for the first time ever. Humans had arrived. The galaxy watchers. News spread fast. Live feeds showed the human ship fighting the fog, blasting it back, holding it off. On planets across the galaxy, people stayed in shock. The humans were real. The humans were alive. And they hadn't forgotten. Council panic. In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. "We must contact Earth. We need their help." Chancellor Reelf slammed the table. "We turned our backs on them. Why would they help us now?" Veltra stood slowly. "Because they're human. They never leave anyone behind." Captain Omo Solas stood tall on the bridge of the Deliverance. Outside, space shimmered with hundreds of lights. Earth's armada had arrived. Ship after ship appeared, sliding out of cloak. Massive carriers, sharp destroyers, silent black cruisers with names like Retribution, Valiant, and Ghost Blade. These weren't just ships. They were monsters of war, built by a species who once faced extinction, and swore it would never happen again. The galaxy had forgotten them. But now, Earth remembered everything. Varela holds on. On the surface of Varela, the people looked up in awe. For the first time in days, they saw light, not from fire or explosions, but from the engines of human ships. The fog, the shadows, it started to move back, like it knew what was coming. Inside the bunker, Ambassador Cale Veron stared at the screen. "They came," he whispered. "By the stars, they actually came." A child asked, "Will they save us?" Cale slowly nodded. "I think they already are." Galactic Council tries to act. On the capital world Oryx, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Some wanted to send envoys to Earth. Others said it was too late. "They won't listen to us now," one counselor growled. "We abandoned their allies. We mocked their message. Now we need them." "But what if they don't stop?" another whispered. "What if this darkness reaches us next?" Veltra stood quietly in the center of the room. He didn't say much. He only stared at a map. The shadow attacks were spreading fast, and Earth's fleet was now the only thing between the galaxy and total destruction. Inside the shadows, no one knew what the shadows were. They were made of metal. They had no heat, no signals, no language. They moved like smoke. They consumed ships, planets, and life. But now, they had stopped. They sensed something old, something they hadn't faced in a very long time. Human war tech. From the edges of the darkness, strange voices whispered. One message repeated across unknown frequencies. "The fire returns. The fire must be crushed. Fleet moves." On board Earth's flagship Vindicator, Supreme Commander Ray Maddox stood before her officers. Her voice was calm, cold. "The enemy is spreading. We hold the line here. We push them back from Varela. If we fall here, the galaxy follows." An officer asked, "Do we know what they are?" Maddox shook her head. "They're darkness, but we fought worse." She looked out the window as the ships formed into formation. "Let's remind them why humans build weapons like cities." The first strike. On a signal from the Vindicator, the human fleet attacked. The silence of space was broken by thunder. Torpedoes flew. Particle beams sliced through black mist. Reldans fired shells the size of buildings. The shadow creatures screamed, but they had no mouths. For the first time in their existence, they felt something they didn't understand. Pain. Varela saved, for now. The fog pulled back. It stopped crawling across the land. It stopped feeding. People on Varela ran outside. They saw the skies clear. They saw burning pieces of darkness fall from orbit like ash. They saw hope. In the bunker, Cale opened a channel to the deliverance. "This is Ambassador Veron. I speak for the people of Varela. Thank you." Captain Amur's voice came back, quiet and strong. "Don't thank us yet." The skies above Varela turned black again. But this time, it wasn't just fog. It was something else. A shape. A creature. Tall, armored in shadow, with glowing red eyes and smoke-like wings. It was the leader of the darkness, the one behind the attacks. It had come to face the humans itself. Deliverance under fire. Captain Amur Solas stood on the bridge of the Deliverance. His ship shook violently. Lights flickered. "Shields at 60%, yelled the officer. The shadow creature raised its hand again. A blast of pure dark energy smashed into the ship's side. Metal screamed. We can't take another hit like that, Umla said calmly. Target its core, fire everything. The Deliverance fired back, cannons, missiles, beam weapons. For a second, the shadow figure vanished in the blast. But then, it reformed. Still alive. Still watching. Still learning. Earth Command reacts. Inside the massive Earth flagship Vindicator, Supreme Commander Ray Maddox stood silently. A new image came up on her screen, the shadow creature, facing off with the Deliverance. This thing is different, the science officer said. It's not just fog. It has structure. Purpose. It's intelligent, Maddox replied. Another officer added, it's evolving. Maddox nodded. Then we hit harder. She sent the command. Deploy Omega Wing. Omega Wing arrives. 5 sleek black ships broke formation and flew toward the creature. Each one carried a prototype weapon Earth had never used in public before. Inside one of them, pilot Lexatran grinned. Let's wake it up, she said. They launched. The weapons hit the target directly. Explosions tore the sky open. Even the creature's scream was silent. And finally, it fell back. Smoke surrounded it. Burning pieces of its body fell to the planet below. Temporary victory. A cheer echoed across Varella's bunkers and buildings. Calveron, watching from the ground, allowed himself to breathe. They did it, he whispered. The people around him smiled, cried, hugged. In space, Captain Amur's ship held position. The Deliverance was damaged, but alive. But something's wrong. Inside the debris, sensors picked up a strange signal. Commander, said an officer on the Vindicator, we're detecting movement from the shadow pieces. Maddox's eyes narrowed. Show me. On the screen, the pieces were crawling back together. Like liquid. Like they remembered how to rebuild. And behind them, more portals were opening. 10, 20, 100. New threat incoming. Each portal revealed more shadow forms. Not just fog. Not just the same creature. But new versions, each one slightly different, more advanced. Some had wings. Others carried weapons made of black fire. One had dozens of red eyes. Earth had awakened something ancient. And now, the galaxy would face its full army. Council watches in fear. On the capital planet, the Galactic Council could no longer deny it. This is not a war, one councillor said. It's extinction. Veltra stood, his voice firm. No, it's survival. And only one species has faced extinction before, and won. Humans, someone whispered. Veltra nodded. And they may be our last hope. The stars above Varela turned red. Not from suns. Not from warships. But from the endless army of shadows now pouring from every direction. Each one bigger. Each one smarter. Each one built to destroy. Captain Omosolas stood on the bridge of the Deliverance, eyes fixed on the screen. The shadow creatures were adapting to human weapons. They're learning too fast, his weapons officer said. Then we stopped giving them time, Umma replied. He sent a coded signal. Activate the Titan. Earth's final weapon. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a hidden facility called Vault 9, alarms rang out. The ground cracked. A giant slab of steel rose from underground. Out of it came a ship like no other. The Titan-class dreadnought, USS Leviathan. Over 40 kilometers long. Thick armor like a floating fortress. Cannons the size of cities. And powered by a zero-core reactor, unstable, illegal, and unstoppable. Inside the ship, Commander Ray Maddox spoke just 2 words. Launch it. Varela prepares for impact. On the ground, Kelveron gathered the survivors. The bunker shook. Children cried. Elders prayed. Outside, the sky darkened again. Kale looked up at the sky. One more wave of darkness was coming. Thousands of them, like a sea of black fire. They won't stop, Kale said. Not until we're all gone. A young soldier beside him answered, Then we don't stop either. The battle begins. The Leviathan entered orbit. The Shadow Army turned toward it, sensing danger. The giant dreadnought opened fire. Massive energy blasts burned through space. Waves of shadows vaporized instantly, but more kept coming. The Deliverance, damaged but still fighting, flew beside the Leviathan. Captain Emil opened comms. We hold the line here. Every second counts. In space, human ships fought like wolves. Fast, brutal, united. A costly fight. But the battle wasn't easy. Dozens of human ships were hit. Exploded. Some disappeared inside black storms. Even Omega Wing lost 2 fighters. Pilot Lexatran shouted, They're targeting us first. They remember us. They're not machines, Ummu said. They're hunters. But humans didn't run. They stood. They fought. They adapted. Like always. Inside the shadow for the first time, the shadows felt fear. They had never faced something like Earth's fleet. Never faced a species that refused to give up. They turned their focus to one thing now, the Leviathan. If they could destroy that, everything else would fall. The shadows formed into one massive shape, bigger than anything seen before, a beast made of black flame and bones. The Shadow King. Final stand. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Commander Maddox watched the monster approach. She knew this was it. The real battle. The final test. We fire the Zero Core, she said. But we'll destroy everything in the blast, the officer warned. Maddox looked at the screen. Varela still below, fighting to survive. There's no other way. The stars exploded with light. From the void, hundreds of human warships arrived in perfect formation. Sharp, fast, and silent. They were the Deep Earth Fleet. Built in secret. Trained in silence. And now, ready for war. Commander Ray Maddox stood on the bridge of the Leviathan. Her eyes didn't blink. They came, she whispered. Humanity had answered the call. Not with fear, but with fire. The Shadow King rises. The sky above Varela cracked open. The Shadow King floated forward, taller than cities, with wings of smoke and a crown of red fire. Its roar wasn't sound. It was a wave of fear. Ships shook. Pilots froze. Some fainted. But the humans, they held the line. Captain Ummu Solas aboard the Deliverance gritted his teeth. That thing ends now, he growled. The final battle begins. Deep Earth ships moved like sharks. They cut through the darkness with precision. New weapons, sonic disruptors, dark matter torpedoes, and neutron beams slammed into the Shadow King's form. The Leviathan fired its main cannon. A beam of white energy hit the center of the Shadow King's chest. For the first time, it screamed in pain. But it wasn't defeated. Not yet. Sacrifice and courage. On the ground, Kale Veron led civilians into the deepest bunkers. He looked up one last time. The skies were a war zone. Flames. Smoke. Light and shadow fighting like gods. One little girl asked him, Are we going to die? Kale smiled gently. No, he said. Because the humans in the sky won't let that happen. The last move. On board the Leviathan, warning lights flashed. Reactor overheating. An officer yelled. If we fire again, we overload, another said. Commander Maddox knew the risk. She touched the console. This ship was built for one purpose, she said. To finish what they started. She gave the command. All power to the cannon. Target. Shadow King. Fire. The light breaks the darkness. The beam launched. Pure energy, hotter than a star, brighter than a sun. It hit the Shadow King straight through the heart. For a moment, just a second, time stopped. The beast let out one last silent cry. And then it shattered. Darkness ripped apart like paper. The fog cleared. The sky turned blue. And silence returned. Victory! Across Varela, people stepped outside. The light returned. The sun rose again. Children laughed. Soldiers dropped to their knees. Calveron stared up, tears in his eyes. "They did it," he whispered. "The humans saved us." The Galaxy Watchers. On the Galactic Council, silence turned to applause. Species that once mocked humanity now stood in awe. Veltra, the Karen ambassador, stood proudly. "Now the galaxy knows," he said. "You don't challenge humans. You call them when all hope is gone." Final scene. On Earth, across giant screens, people watched the moment the Leviathan returned home. Damaged. Scarred. But still flying. Commander Maddox stood at the window. "We were alone once," she said, "but never again." Behind her, thousands of human ships flew in formation. Ready. United. Humanity wasn't weak anymore. Now, they were the galaxy's shield. And if darkness ever returned, so would they. The end. The galaxy was quiet again. No explosions. No screams. No darkness. Just peace. But peace always has a price. And the galaxy would never forget the day humanity stood alone, and still won. A monument to the brave. On the surface of Varela, where the final battle took place, a massive monument was built. It showed a human soldier, armor cracked, but standing tall, holding the flag of Earth high above the ruins. Beneath the statue, the words were simple. They came when no one else would. People from every world came to see it. Children touched the metal and asked, "Is this story real?" Their parents always answered, "Yes," and they saved us all. Life after war. Kale Veron now worked as Varela's ambassador. He sat in meetings with aliens who once ignored his people. Now they listened. Respected. Feared. But mostly, they were grateful. Kale kept a photo on his desk, the Deliverance flying beside the Leviathan. Heroes in the sky. The human legacy. Back on Earth, the Deep Earth Fleet remained ready. New ships were being built. New pilots trained. But not for war. For protection. Humanity had earned its place, not just as a survivor, but as a leader. Galactic leaders asked Earth for advice, for help, for hope. And Earth gave it, carefully but kindly. Veltra's final message. Ambassador Veltra, the alien who had once doubted humans, spoke at the Galactic Council. He looked old now, but his voice was strong. "I was there when we laughed at them," he said. "I was there when they came anyway. And I was there when they saved us all." He raised his hand, and every species in the chamber stood in silence. Out of respect. For humanity. A whisper in the dark. But far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, a small signal blinked. Soft, cold. It was a pulse. Old, but not gone. A leftover fragment of the Shadow King, floating in a forgotten sector. It pulsed again. Watching. Learning. Waiting. Because darkness never truly ends. And heroes must always be ready to rise again. The stars above Earth burn softly now. No war, no screams, no darkness. Just quiet and memory. Commander Ray Maddox stood alone at the top of Earth's new orbital station, Unity 1. The windows around her showed the galaxy, peaceful at last. Below, ships moved like slow birds. Human ships, patrols, explorers, not fighters. But they were ready, just in case. She touched a panel. A hologram appeared, Kale Verun, now a peace ambassador, smiled on the screen. "Another quiet day?" he asked. "So far," Maddox said, "but quiet days make me nervous." They both laughed. A name among stars. Behind her, an AI voice spoke gently. "Incoming transmission, memorial broadcast." The screen lit up. Across the galaxy, every species tuned in. The Galactic Council was broadcasting a tribute. Images of human ships defending Varela. The Deliverance, scared but strong. The Leviathan, glowing like a sun. The voices of children from different worlds spoke. "We were afraid. Then the humans came. We had no chance. But they stood between us and the dark. They fought like giants. For people they never knew." The promise. As the video played, Commander Maddox stood silently. Behind her, the stars sparkled. Somewhere out there, maybe the darkness still watched. Maybe it would return. But she smiled. Because this time, they were ready. She whispered, "If you come back, we'll be waiting." The camera zoomed out, through the station window, into space. Past Earth. Past the moon. Into the stars. A single phrase appeared on the screen, glowing in soft white letters. "When hope dies, call the humans." Fade to black.